Welcome to the Brains R Us podcast, brought to you by Centerpointe Research Institute. Each week, we explore the tools, insights, and breakthroughs that help you unlock your full potential. Whether it's mind-expanding research, powerful personal development strategies, or transformative stories, you're in the right place to upgrade your brain and your life. Today's episode features entrepreneur, visionary, and the new CEO of Inspire3, Themiya Rashmin. Join MaryEllen and Themiya as they explore the power of trusting your wings instead of the branch, why your subconscious is running 90% of your life, and how delusional optimism can carry you from arriving in New York with almost nothing to leading a global consciousness movement. Along the way, Themiya shares the remarkable story of the 50 emails that changed his life, the 6 inner pillars he uses every single day, and the bold vision behind Inspire3 as a movement for mind, body, and spirit. This is a powerful, inspiring, and deeply practical conversation you won't want to miss. Now here's your host, Centerpointe CEO, MaryEllen Tribby.
Thank you for being here today. I know our listeners can't wait to jump right into this.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I've heard a lot of beautiful things about you, about Centerpointe, and I'm super stoked for this conversation because it's been long due.
Well, there's so many fascinating things about you, and I think I want to start with kind of the beginning.
Right.
You moved to New York at 18 with $1,500 and no safety net. What was going on in your head during those first few months? And you must have felt like giving up at some point, but what kept you going?
It's a very good question. So I moved to New York when I was 18 and 2 days, right? I took a 36-hour flight to come to New York from Sri Lanka. Initially came for college. And for me, initially, everything was just super exciting. I was super excited because I had freedom for the first time in my life. I was away from my family, nobody to tell me what to do, right? I'm like, oh, cool, right? And I always say that was actually one of the most fun things for me. Everybody says it should have been, oh, I can't imagine the culture shock, this, that, all these different things. And I'm like, actually, no, that was actually the most fun thing was moving from Sri Lanka to New York because I went from being in an unstable environment to being in an unstable environment, right?
Mhm.
It was way harder for me when I had reached stability in New York and to decide to leave New York, right?
Ah.
Without a job, without anything. That was by far the hardest thing that I did, right? Because I had to leave my safety net that I had built. But kind of what kept me going, I think I can phrase it down to this one sentence. A bird doesn't land on the branch of a tree because it trusts the strength of the branch. It
Mhm.
lands on the branch of a tree because it trusts its ability to fly, right?
Oh,
And that
yeah.
is what really kept me going because I trusted in myself and I believed in me. Like since I was tiny, I would always have these things in my mind, and whether it was business, whether it was consciousness, right? I started studying energies, frequencies, vibrations when I was 7, 8 years old because it really intrigued me a lot. So being over there, I kind of knew that I was like onto something. I knew I was onto something. And I would talk to my friends about it. I would talk to my family about it. They would think that I'm crazy. They would have no
Okay.
idea what I'm talking about. Right. But I just knew that I was onto something. And I was lucky enough to grow up in the age of the internet. So everything was in one internet such a way. So I was constantly researching all these things. And I think during that entire time, what was going on in my head was I said, okay, I initially came for college. I knew I was going to drop out of college. I knew that, the entire time that college was just something.
Did you go to New York City or New York? Where New York were you?
City. Yeah,
You
I went to Baruch. Baruch is actually the
I
number
know it.
one public business college
I
in
know
the
it.
US. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to NYU, so I mean, I
Ah,
know.
see?
Oh,
So you
yeah.
know.
Yes, but this is incredible. Like, you're only 21. This is incredibly wise beyond your years. That I love the bird analogy. So, and you mentioned, so this didn't come from like your parents or learn like watching them study kind of energy. You just,
No.
wow.
I can boil it down. I say I dedicate where I am in life and what I do to this one quote that I heard when I was like 6, right? I think I was watching anime, and then while I was watching anime, this character says something really really interesting. He says, you hear this quote that says, "A fool learn, you learn from your own mistakes," right?
Right.
You hear that. This said, a fool learns from his own mistakes, while a wise man learns from the mistakes of others.
Mm,
And I didn't get it at that age, but I knew that was something there, and I kept on repeating it. I like played it back at multiple times, and then it just kind of stuck with me. And I kept on going back and forth with it. And later on, as I grew older, I truly understood what that meant. And I kept on in every walk of life, in every category of life, I kept on searching for someone who has already done it and mastered it and learning from them, whether it was through watching videos of them or whether it was finding someone in my life who had already mastered something like that and then talking to them and asking them. And I always thought, if I can talk to them and if I can learn from them, I can always, bypass the mistakes that they made and get there
right.
faster.
Right.
And
Right.
so I ran into Einstein's work. Einstein's, and so I really loved studying the greats, right? So this is where this entire thing came in. Because so when I heard that, I was like, okay, I want to study some of the greatest minds, right? Like, okay, what are some of the greatest minds? I'm like, okay, I started with Einstein. So I started studying like a little bit more about Einstein's life, things like that. I'm not a reader, so it's not like I read any of his books.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept on looking at whatever I could find. And it led me to the quote where Einstein was talking about the future of medicine is frequencies, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I said, interesting, right? I'm like, what is frequency? I started studying frequency and understanding what it was, and then I ran across Nikola Tesla and Tesla's work.
Uh-huh.
Yes, right. This is the classic quote. If you wanna know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. And I said, what is that? And then I started digging and digging and digging and digging. And tried to I tried to comprehend it in a way where I could get it at that age. So I
Mm-hmm.
kept on building my own theories. And now I understand what energy, frequency, and vibrations are and why they are the fundamentality of reality. And I kind of break it down in a really interesting way of like how each one is by far the fundamental nature of our existence.
Wow.
That's how this entire thing started.
I love it. I love it. And you said something really interesting, right? And we all want to do this. We want to study the masters,
Mm,
but we also want to study, probably even more than their successes, their failures.
yeah.
At Agora, where I kind of came out of, which is the largest public privately held publishing company in the world, right? They're over
Right.
$1 billion. We had this saying where accelerated failure, right? Like, gonna fail fast and learn from it. And so you started 7 businesses before landing where you are now, right? What did your failures teach you that success never could have?
Oof, that's a good one. That's a really, really good one. So I pivoted 7 businesses, right? I kept on pivoting and pivoting the 7 different things in different industries as well, right? And I think the most valuable lessons that I learned from that was number one, resilience, right? Truly understanding like perseverance and resilience. Because it was a lot. Like I was in college and then I was working and I would invest well over 60%, 70% of my income back into business, right? And I kept my expenses as minimal as possible and I would
Yep.
just spend as much as I could trying to figure out business. Pivoting through all of them, resilience was a big one. And also understanding that life is a game, right? And it's a big old game. And the beauty about the game of life is that you only lose when you stop trying.
Mhm.
And during that entire time, I kept on saying to myself, I'm not gonna give up, right? I'm not gonna stop. And
Mhm.
it was really hard because at the time, without any money, I was probably like 50 grand in the hole, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and just trying to keep on going through with it. And I think by far the most valuable thing that I learned is finding the right fit, right?
Right.
Because at the time, I was totally going off of, let's see what the world needs, right? Let's see, let's see what everyone's doing,
Yeah.
right? How did all these people find their successes? That was my own thing. So I started SMMA. That's where I started social media marketing. I started a social media marketing agency. I did that for a bit. I ran ads. Then I did graphic designs. Then I did offshoring. Hired people from Sri Lanka for companies over here, right? Accounting, all these different things. And through every single one, I was just trying to go where the money was, right? That's why I thought. And I thought that was the way to go.
Mhm.
And I learned by far that everyone has a destiny, that everyone has their own path. One of the things I talked about during New Living Expo was there are 8 billion people on Earth, and we all have 8 billion unique fingerprints.
Yeah.
And just like that, I believe we have 8 billion unique paths in
Mhm.
life, right?
Mhm.
And I was trying to follow other people's paths instead of finding my own. So I took some time back and I found the right fit. I kept on searching and I understood that in life you have two choices. Either you go against the flow of life and you
Mhm.
try to climb the river that's flowing downstream, right? Which is what most people do. And I
Right.
was doing, right? Or you let go, you surrender, and you enjoy the ride.
That
And
Yep.
that's what I did. I let go, I surrendered, and I started enjoying the ride down. And everything just fell into place so fast.
Mhm.
I couldn't even tell you how fast things fell into place. But it's like they say, it's like that that beautiful thing. You see this thing on social media where like miners, right? They keep digging and they keep digging, right? And they're about, let's say there's a length of dirt that's about this big, and the gold is
Mhm.
on that side, right? They can dig this entire time, and they can get all the way over here, and they can be like, "I've been digging for so long. I've been digging for months, for years. I'm done," you know.
Mhm.
And they leave, and then somebody else comes in, and they just keep on digging, and they just decide to go a little bit further. And if they went that little route, they would have gotten everything. And that's
Right.
what I really didn't realize was this dirt patch of dirt is long, right?
Mhm.
And this patch of dirt is long and it's hard. But when you go through with it, you get everything all at once.
Mm.
That's the magic about it, you know?
Right. You have to enjoy the dig.
Exactly.
Yes.
How many times this week did someone ask how you're doing and you said fine? Not great, not amazing, just fine. If you feel like there's more to life than fine, you're right. And it all starts by connecting with your purpose, a purpose that's been with you all along. So please join us Wednesday, May 27th at 12 p.m. Pacific Time for a free live conversation called From Fine to Fulfilled: How to Connect, Accept, and Live Your Life's True Purpose. We'll explore why purpose feels so hard to access right now and what actually works to help you finally listen to yours. RSVP for free at myholosync.com/brains34. That's myholosync.com/brains34. See you there.
I love that. And that, like you're saying, really gotten you to where you are now. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. So
Right.
our listeners are very clear on this because most people would never just cold email a company and say, I want to buy you. Okay. So one, I want to know what made you believe that was. possible, possible at your age or any age. And what did that look like? Like what was that conversation when that happened?
So I love this story. This is really interesting. Um, to answer the first question that you asked, what made me do that?
Yeah.
Delusional optimism, right? I 100%, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I was talking about during my talk as well. Is like I think that's something that's so underappreciated,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
delusional optimism has gotten me everywhere I have
Yeah.
in life. Whether
Hmm.
it's from Sri Lanka to New York, from working at liquor stores in Manhattan and doing every odd job under the sun, right?
Uh-huh.
To now running Inspire3, right?
Right.
Like it was that. And what actually happened is a really cool story. I a few weeks before this, right? Before I did this, I think about
Mhm.
2 weeks before I emailed them, I didn't want to be alive. Right? It was this whole thing I was going through. I lost all purpose. I had
Mm.
no idea why I should keep going. I had zero clue. I woke up one morning and I'm like, I'm in my head too much. And I'm like, I walk up to my friend Mark and my investor. He's a beautiful mentor of mine. And I walk up to him and I say, Mark, I don't know what to do. I said, I said, I really need some help. And he says, David, what do you need some money? It's like, what do you need? Right. And I said, I don't give a shit about money. I have a way bigger problem. I don't want to live. Right. And I walk up to him and I tell him this. And then he says, okay, this is a problem. Right.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. He's like, we got to see what we can do about this. So he says, he gives me advice and he's like, okay, there's a pool right there. Right. He says, and it's cold. I'm in Sedona at this point.
Mhm.
And he says, "Why don't you wake up tomorrow morning, jump in there, get in a cold plunge, and go for a run, right, and see how you feel." And I said, "Okay,
Mhm.
what do I have to lose?" So then I go in, I get in, I get up the next morning, I go in the pool, I get in the cold plunge. I don't want to do it. It's freezing, right?
Mhm.
I do it, and then I go for a little lap around, and I start getting life again. And the next few days, I keep on doing it because it brings me life. And now, all of a sudden, I'm out of my head and I'm in my body, right? I'm out of my brain, I'm in my heart, and
Yeah.
I have energy to keep going, right? And
Yes.
I'm getting all these ideas and all these different things, and now like I'm gaining this love for life back, right?
Mhm.
Through just moving my body, right?
Yes.
And taking myself out of that comfortable place that I was in my head. And then one night, I think about a week and a half into this, it was like 11 p.m. I'm laying in bed. One of my friends, Johan, he sold his company on a website called acquire.com.
Mhm.
And I was like, if I could buy a company, what company would I buy? I'm like, hey, what? It's the middle of the night. I got nothing better to do. Let me go to
Mhm.
acquire.com. So I go open acquire.com, and then I filter by the most profitable business. Because I'm like, oh, I'm curious, what kind of business can you buy? Right?
Mhm.
First thing that pops up, and there's a paywall behind this, so you can't see anything, and it's just I click it, and it's personal development, and I keep reading it, and I'm like, this is really interesting. I mean, it's talking about consciousness. It's talking about, rewiring your subconscious. I'm like, what is this? And so now I gotta pay in order to get past the
Uh-huh.
paywall, right? And um, I don't, I have at this point probably $200 in my bank account, right? I'm
Wow.
like, yeah, and I'm like, I don't wanna, I don't wanna pay for the paywall, right? And I keep closing my eyes, and I'm like, you know what? I really want to know what business this is, right? And then I keep scrolling, and I keep scrolling, and keep scrolling, and Carl's broker, right, accidentally had made a mistake, and they had included the name Inspired 3 in one of the descriptions, and I said, wait a second, I think that's the name of the company, right? So then I go on Inspire3's website and I start looking at everything. And then I'm like, whoa, okay. And then I look at everything and I'm like, this is really interesting. And I said, I'm curious to see if I can buy this. So I'm
Mhm.
like, at this point, I have no history about me anywhere online. There's nothing. I call one of my friends up, Neil. And I tell Neil, I say, hey, Neil, he owns one of the world's largest consciousness event production companies called Portal to Ascension. So I call him, and he's a very good friend of mine. And I said, okay, dude, I want to see if I can buy this thing, right? So can I go in as a can I email them as a partner at Portal to Ascension? And because I've been helping him with a lot of things
Uh-huh.
anyway, right? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem, right? So I email the customer support. I go into ChatGPT and I'm like, okay, I need to find the name of the owner. And I found
Uh-huh.
Carl. And then I'm like, okay. I email Carl. I email customer support saying, hey, I'd love to connect with Carl. This is
Yeah.
who I am. I'm interested in buying the business, right?
Mhm.
So I go to sleep. This is all within the span of like, I don't know, like couple of hours, right? I
Uh-huh.
go to sleep. I wake up the next day. That email thread has like 7 emails all of a sudden. I'm like, what is going on? So I wake up and the customer support had pinged me to a different customer support, and then that they'd pinged me to Carl, right?
Uh-huh.
And then Carl had emailed me back, and then Carl had connected his broker onto the onto the chat as well. So I woke up to all that happening in the morning. I'm like, whoa, okay. I'm like, I just wanted to take a chance on this, and then this is what's going on. And then I said, okay, they're selling the company for $4 million, right? I'm like, I have $200 in my bank account, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, you know what? This is gonna happen. It's gonna happen somehow. So I wanted to know. I wanted to first verify that the company was actually making as much as they say it's making, right? And I say, okay. I said, I wanna go through this entire verification process. And then they hit me with a block. The broker hits me with a block right before I get on a call with Carl. They're like, okay, no, before you get on the call with Carl, we need to see proof of funds, right? And I said, oh shit, okay, here's where things get real. So I call my friend Mark, and I'm like, Mark, okay, that's this business I want to buy. I'm not saying that I'm not saying asking for you to commit. This is like $4 million, right?
Mm.
That's not something everyone has in their bank account, right? But all I want to know is is whether they're actually making as much as they're making, right?
Mhm.
I just need to get past this. And then he said, I asked him, I'm like, can you give me some sort of proof of funds to show them? And then he sent me his real estate portfolio. And then he said, sure, right? I sent that,
Uh-huh.
and then I send it over. They see like, okay, we have the funds, and I'm about to get on the call with Carl. Right, like so things are working out now somehow, right? And then bam, Carl emails me saying, I'm so sorry, Themiya. We just signed an LOI with somebody. We'll reach out to you if if this falls through. LOI, for those who don't know, is a letter of interest, and when a buyer signs a letter of interest, you are not allowed to talk to
Right.
any other people, right? That are potentially trying to buy the company. And I'm like, okay. And then at this point, I'm like, damn, that went. I'm like, this is gone. Somebody's gonna buy this. This is like too great of a business.
Mhm.
And but I emailed Carl saying, you know what? Okay. But I feel like somehow this is gonna come back to me. And I have this entire thing. And if this is a chain of 50 emails, right? That from the beginning to the to actual like a close by acquisition, right? Where we signed an LOI, it's all in a chain of 50 emails. I want to make a video that's they call the 50 emails that changed my life, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
long story short, I emailed him that the LOI fell through, and he emailed me back on January 5th saying, "Hey there, Mia, I know you were interested in this. This is still available, right?" And so then he sends me the P&Ls and everything. I look at everything, and I'm like, "This is actually producing as much as it's saying it is. This is actually awesome." And then I'm like, okay, now I gotta figure out how to get the money and everything. So then I spend a bunch of time talking to Mark, and I convince him. I'm like, Mark, it'll only take X amount of time for me to get you the money back, this and that, and all these different things. And I just happened to be able to persuade him enough for him to get a yes from him,
Wow.
and he bought the company and appointed me as the CEO.
See, that is crazy because it was meant to be. And for our listeners, because they love Inspire3. Like
Mhm.
Inspire3 is such a great partner to Centerpointe. We've been working together for years and years and years. And they've always been one of my favorite people. Like Carl's always been one of my favorite people to work with and his team. And so, but the reason it was making that money is because it has product that helps people,
Right.
right? The reason Centerpoint's been around for 37 years is because we help people, right?
Right.
And everybody shows up in purpose, right? They show up
Right.
serve. They show up to serve. And so I think that clearly your passion to do that, to help, like, is going to help Inspire3 just keep going and going and going, which is such a beautiful thing because we need it. Like we need it in our
Right.
community, you know?
Exactly. I
And so
agree.
that's why I want to go back to a little bit
Yeah.
about, kind of your inner world when you talk about frequencies and consciousness and your 6 pillars as practical tools. Can you walk our listeners through how you actually use them day to day? Because I always like to make sure people can walk away saying, "Oh my gosh, that's incredible value. I can do this."
Right. And I love that because I'm all about practicality. That's my biggest thing, right? Because the thing in the world of of consciousness was something that I've really seen is there's a lot of intellectual entertainment,
Yeah.
right? And there is not that much actual practical things that people can do. That's exactly what I stand for, and that's exactly what I want. Like I want to be able to do things that I'm like, because there's so many conferences and events and all these different things that I went to that changed my life that I walked away with. I'm like, okay, I'm like, I know that. What do I do now?
Mhm.
Right? Without any practical action or action steps. So how I use these things on a day-to-day basis and these 6 inner the pillars that I talk about that I'm working on right now, those are inner pillars that I'm currently working on, right? And I
Mhm.
don't think, by any means, there's no mastery of any of these things, right? It's just it's the idea of a spiral, right? And see, when you look at a spiral or a spring from the top, and if you have a ball, it just looks like the ball is just going around and around and around in a circle, right? But if you actually change the perspective, you see that it's actually climbing and it's going to the top, you know? And that's kind of how my life's been, like I keep thinking certain times that I'm revolving in the same place, right? But it's
Right,
not.
right.
I'm climbing like this and it just looks like I am, right? So you just keep on going to new levels. So, in my day-to-day life, I really use this to hone my intuition because intuition is a muscle like anything else that needs to be trained. And in my day to day life, I train my intuition a lot. And how I do that is through different things, muscle testing, right? Tarot readings. Like I have decks like everywhere. Like we have like I have like 5 decks over there, right? That we look at, and whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter to me. What it is it's an extra data point, and
Mhm.
I use all these things. And see, I'm not running Inspire3 like a company, right? I have I have oracles inside of my company that help me make decisions, right?
Right.
And they teach me on how I can hone in deeper in this intuition. And I guess how I really choose to practice that is so I take these decks everywhere we go. And my business partner, one of my best friends, Soul, he's really really good at this, and I have him pull cards all the time. Whether it's let's say whether even down to like the little things, and like we're like for example, we just did this earlier today. Today we're in Oregon right now. We need to go to we're about to go to Shasta, and we're like, okay, what hotel do we stay in Shasta? What hotel do we stay in San Francisco?
Yeah.
So you boil it down to these things, and we're like, okay, and then we pull cards on each one, and then
Mhm.
we just read the energy on each one, and even down these like little decisions of where to eat, all these different things. Why do I do that? Because when I do it, now I get a visual of how the energy can potentially be, right? And then I tune in with myself, right? So prior to pulling the cards, I make a choice. I'm like, okay, we got place A, we got place B, right?
Mhm.
Let me close my eyes and let me feel which one draws me or pulls me more, right?
Mhm.
And then I'm like, okay, I have this one in mind. And to confirm that that's the one, we pull cards and we're like, okay, maybe we see how it falls into place. That's
Right.
one thing that I do like on a daily basis, like all the time, to be able to train this muscle of intuition more, right? Other
Wow.
things that I do, I'm learning how to take care of myself because I'm understanding how important it is to pour from an overflowing cup, right?
Mhm.
And when I was in New York, I really, really suffocated my body and suffocated myself because when I didn't have any money, there were days like would just I would eat. There were periods of time where I would eat one meal a day
Mhm.
because I just couldn't afford anything more, right? And those reminiscence of those things are still in my body,
Oh, yeah.
and so you know how it is. So I'm working on learning how to take care of myself because now
Yes.
running this thing, I'm working like 12 hours a day and I love it. It's super fun to me. It's not work, but
Right.
be able to take that step back. And these are things that I'm learning from all my mentors and everything, and to go for a run because I lost track of what actually got me here. Going for that
Right.
run, going for a plunge, moving my body in any sort of way, playing some
Mhm.
sport, right? So now I'm coming back into that, really learning and honing in on that, how important it is to get out of your head and into your heart, right?
Oh.
And that's like the biggest thing. Like I would say that I do on like a daily basis is how can I get out of here and into here? And that's only
Mhm.
through moving your body, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
run through a lot of emotions. Emotions stands for energy in motion, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
if you are just still and if you're just thinking and trying to solve problem, that energy is stuck. There's no motion.
Right.
So move
Right.
move your body. That's one of the biggest things I would say. Move your body in some sort of way, whatever is the most fun way for you. Where it doesn't need to be running, it can be sports, It can just be literally skip roping. That's one of the
Yeah.
biggest things I did.
Yeah.
Just move that
Yeah.
body and that
Yeah.
energy.
Yes. I mean, everything is in your body, good or bad, on a
Right,
cellular level, right?
right,
And that energy is there. And so, and hopefully, if it's negative energy, you're able to release that by doing a lot of these things between
y
meditating, moving your body, those kind of things. But
mhm,
that's what people need to understand, that the good and bad thoughts are there, and then when they're out of alignment, that's when you actually get sick. I mean, you physically get sick.
exactly.
So, that's beautiful, and I think that everybody can take that and apply it some way, because, like you said, it doesn't have to be a marathon. You can start walking around the block, right?
Right,
You can start meditating 20 minutes a day. There are baby steps that you can take, you know, and things happen. Once you put it into the universe, things happen. And so I that's what I love, again, about Inspire3. Like, we're both in the business of changing how
energy,
people's brains work, how their lives work.
right.
What do you think is the biggest thing holding people back from doing that inner work?
Question.
Y-
I think it's action, right? Like,
Mhm.
what do I mean by that? I think where we live in a world we live in the information age, right?
Yeah.
And being in the information age, we have a lot of intellectual entertainment around us, and we constantly choose to feed our brain,
Yes.
right, to keep ourselves entertained and not actually do anything with it. And the reason for that is because it's so easy to search for more information in order to listen to another podcast, right? To do
Right.
something, right? It's
Mhm.
so much easier than it is to actually take action on
Yes.
anything.
Mhm.
And that resistance is like that's one of the biggest things I was facing. And
Mhm.
I learned that it has to be through actions,
Right.
right? Knowledge, I learned really recently the difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? And Jim Quick says this beautiful thing. He says knowledge is not power, it's potential power, and it's only power when put to use,
Right.
right? And I really love that. And I think the difference between knowledge and wisdom is knowledge is wisdom is applied knowledge with experience,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it is. So the biggest thing, in my opinion, that really holds these people, everyone back, is a programming. Is how their subconscious is. We all know, that our subconscious is what controls us majority of the way. Where n- over 90% subconscious, less than 10% conscious, right? Uh,
Right.
so we all know that. Yet, how often do you choose to work on your subconscious?
Right.
I know I didn't get here by working on my conscious. It was
Right.
purely working on my subconscious, rewiring that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of one of my favorite things about what we do. Like, we really hone in on that. We hone in on
Yes.
being able to rewire their subconscious mind. And I
Right.
think that's exactly one of the biggest things holding people back, is they choose to work on their conscious instead of their subconscious. And the funny thing is, it's so much easier to work on your subconscious than it is to work on your conscious.
Right. Especially like when you have holosync or you have one of your
Right.
programs, you
Right.
know, it's your brain is just like your body. Like the better you feed it, the better it's going to perform.
Exactly.
So, you feed your body, pizza and ice cream all day, it's not going to perform. You feed your brain just kind of anger or news feeds or social, like it's just not going to perform. And
Exactly.
I, always said like an idea without action, unfortunately, is useless, right?
Right.
Like, I
Absolutely.
mean, when I was teaching people to start businesses, a friend of mine told me an idea she had, and then a few months later, I ran into her, and one of my clients had the same idea, put it into a site, was
Right.
started making money because she loved what she was doing. And
Doing
my friend said to me,
exactly.
"But I had that idea first." And I said, "You didn't do anything, right? Like you didn't do anything. Like we all have a lot of ideas, right?"
Absolutely.
And so, and I like just like to say, like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? We all do. And the difference between people who are successful and not, or people who are happy or not, is what they do with those 24 hours.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I love that because we both have so much to offer folks that can literally change their lives, right?
Right.
That can literally work on the subconscious. That,
Absolutely.
and it really is a matter kind of like every like this hardship. It wasn't easy for you, but it led you to your purpose.
Exactly.
And most people, unfortunately, will chase the money as opposed to enjoy the journey.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so I love that. And so I feel like we could go on and on and on for hours. So I want to know, where can we send our listeners that they can get more of you or more of Inspire 3? What's the best thing for them to do? Tell us what your big plans are. Everybody wants to know because everyone who's on this call loves Inspire 3.
So I'm on a mission now to be able to impact as many lives as I can in the next decade in the most positive way that I can. And I want to do that by creating a global movement. Inspired 3 is not no longer just a company, it's a movement that we're creating. And Inspired 3 is called Inspired 3 because one person is an idea, two people is a conversation, three people is a movement. So be an individual that inspires three people around you. That's what we're pushing. How do you do that? By taking care of three things: taking care of your mind, the thoughts that you think, the media that you consume, right? Taking care of your body, what takes you through your day to day, what keeps you alive, right? And keeping yourself healthy. And if you're not in the best shape of your life, be willing to get in the best shape of your life.
Yeah.
This vessel carries you, right? And the third thing is your spirit, your soul. Do something that feeds your soul and lights your soul on fire,
Yeah.
right? this is the movement of what we're creating. And the next stages of Inspire 3 is, as of right now, we are we're mind focused, right? And that's the first step, right? You got to
Mhm.
get your mind right in order for anything else to take place. The next steps that we're taking is we're having expansions into biohacking, the health sector. It's quite a lot of
Mhm.
quite a lot of amazing biohacking
Oh,
things
yeah.
that I know about, you know about, that I
Yeah.
want the rest of the world to know about, right? And then fitness, that's another arm, because we have to take care of our physical body,
Yeah.
right? That's super important. And then, of course, we'll have the third, which is spiritual, which is a lot more energy focused, like spirit focused, right? Soul
Mhm.
focused. So that those are the expansions of what we're planning on doing. I want to, like, my investor Mark is a philanthropist.
Mm.
He's what an incredible soul he is, right? And we made a deal when we bought this, right? And the deal is all the money that comes out of Inspire 3 goes straight back into investing in the raising of consciousness of humanity. That's the deal that we made. And with every acquisition that we have planned, with everything that's going on, that's the mission that you're supporting, right?
Wow.
So as of right now, what we're doing is we're reinvesting all of it back in to be able to grow this more, to be able to make more products, to be able to get Inspire 3 in front of more people, right?
Mm.
But every month we have where we're starting smaller, right? Every month we are doing a ton of charity work. And what that this is what we stand for. And we're starting with this month, and we have actually a plan to feed over 1,000 people in a cancer hospital in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
right?
Beautiful.
And just like that. The thing is, we don't I don't believe in donation per se. Why? Because it's the idea of giving a giving people fish, right? Rather
Mm.
than teaching them how to fish.
Mhm.
That's because give a man a fish, you feed him for a meal. You teach a man a fish, you feed him from for a lifetime. So what our focus is primarily, how can we provide all these people in places all over the world,
Yeah.
right, with
Mm.
more opportunity to be able to take care of themselves? How do we
Yeah.
teach these people to take care of themselves?
Yep.
That's our biggest focus. And we all the money that comes out is going to go into events to be able to change people's lives, just like we had with New Living Expo, right?
Mhm.
With more physical events to gather everyone to be able to create larger community, right? Into all these projects all around the world to serve humanity. And
Mhm.
that is why we are doing this. That's our mission and that's our vision of Inspire 3 now.
Wow. That really is beautiful, and I know that you guys will be so successful because it's coming from the heart and you believe in it. This has been such an honor to have you on today, and I can't wait to talk more up to you just on a personal level and get to know you because you are going to do wonderful things. Thank you so much for being here today.
Of course, I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Now I wanted to leave everyone with a few gifts.
Oh,
Uh
good.
yeah, of course. Because like we talked about earlier, we want people to take action. So I will give you guys first step of taking the action, right? And I will provide it for you guys for free. If you guys go to my Instagram, Themiya.rr, and you'll be able to see um, on my link tree, on the bio of my Instagram, you will see my link tree, and on that, you'll be able to find a few interesting things. You have a bunch of free gifts from Inspire 3 that we have, and those are audios and that you will be able to listen to start reprogramming your mind, right?
Mhm.
Really start helping yourself, because all it takes is for you to listen to these things, right? And your
Right.
subconscious picks
Right.
it up, on
Yeah.
repetition. So those are the first things. And then I also have a bunch of hypnotherapy audios over there. And that's one of the biggest things I'm doing because hypnotherapy is the idea of truly being able uh, to rewire your subconscious, bypass the conscious, get into the subconscious and rewire it. So I'm working with the hypnotherapist deeply, and I have a few hypnotherapy audios that I have lined up over there for you guys to listen to that'll help you with these 6 pillars that I talk about, which is self-love, self-worth, self-value, right? A self-accountability, right? Claiming your power back, and self-compassion, right? You can go there and you can get everything and listen to it and really be able to reprogram your mind. So please take action in changing your life today.
Yes. That is wonderful. I know I am gonna go there. So please go, and just so Themiya's name is spelled Themiya. And of course that's in all over this pod. You'll be able to see it there. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and we will talk soon.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited for all the cool things that we're gonna do together.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Brains Are Us, brought to you by Centerpointe Research Institute. Want to try out our proprietary HoloSync brain-enhancing technology that's been changing lives for 35 years? Just visit myholosync.com/stream for a free 15-minute HoloSync session and feel the difference for yourself today. Until next time, be kind to your mind.